So today we are going to discuss all about introduction to Azure security, and we will be discussing brief summary of all the security tools which is available on your Azure itself. Right now, let's just start in today's session. Right, these are few details about the InfoSec Train. Okay, we are one of the leading training providing industry leading training center. Right, and let's just move to our today's agenda. Now, in today's agenda, what we will be discussing, we will be starting with the how to secure data and application. Right. Second thing, we will be discussing how to protect your platform on Azure. Then we will be discussing about how to protect your network. Then we'll be talking about what is Azure Security Center, what is Sentinel, right? Then we will be talking about the role of the identity access management in the Azure, what is AZ500, and how we are going to cover all these things. It will be clear in the upcoming slides, right? How and where, in which part this actually going to be covered. Now, let me just give you a bit of the overview. So if I start with the simple cloud, that what is a cloud? If you talk about the introduction of the any particular cloud service provider, we are talking about the Azure security here, right? Introduction to Azure security. So I think everyone is familiar with the Azure as well, that what is your Azure, right? Now, Azure is one of your cloud service provider, and there are other cloud service providers as well in the market. We have the AWS, which is one of the oldest player in this market, and you guys will be familiar if you are learning about the cloud. You guys will be familiar that it is one of the oldest cloud service provider that is available in the market, and Azure is relatively new as compared to the AWS, right? Still, you will find out that in the present scenario, many of the organization, they are moving towards the Azure, right? But there are a few reasons behind it. Even if you look into the records, if you look into the articles, you will find out that around 80 to 90% of your Fortune 500 companies, they use the Azure platform, right? And it doesn't mean that they only use the Azure platform, they also use the AWS and other as well, but they are rapidly moving towards Azure as well. Why? One thing is that people, they have familiarity with the your Microsoft products, right? They are using the AD on their system, on their on-premise system for a very long time. They are familiar with the Windows, they are familiar with the Microsoft product. That's why they are preferring a very familiar looking or familiar kind of experience that they are having. They are also having the different subscription that they have purchased, right? And they want to utilize them to wherever they possible, right? That's why you will be seeing that many of the organization, they are moving towards the your Azure, and they are feeling comfortable in the Azure a lot, right? So that is one of the reason that people, they are moving towards the Azure, and that's why people, they are focusing on the particular cloud security. Specifically today we'll be talking about the your Azure security. Simply, if anyone here who is not familiar with the cloud, so cloud is just the your delivery of all of your IT capability at your door, just like we have any other movie on demand system, right? So we can have the IT on demand system, that will be your cloud. So all the capability like hard disk, the space you want this, CPUs, you want the web application to deploy, you want any particular application, even the security part, like we have the SIM solutions, right? If you want those things to deliver to your doorstep, on a simple clicks, there is your cloud service provider which will be providing you all those facilities, right? And so here what you will find out, you will be finding out that Azure is providing you the application and services through which you can take advantage of a very wide array of security tools and the capability, right? And those tools, those applications will be helping you to create a complete secure solution on the Azure platform itself. And your Azure, it will be helping Microsoft Azure, it will be providing you the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of all of your customer data, while also it will be enabling the accountability as well. Okay, now when we talk about the Azure platform, it will provide you a lot of services. It provides the most services by any of your cloud service provider. So Azure is having a very wide variety of the services which it is presenting to you. Now, Depending on the your cloud service model, that whether you are having the public cloud service model or you are having the private, or you are having the hybrid, right? Depending on that, security responsibility will be shared between you and the your Microsoft Azure, right? And in cloud we have a very common saying which we say that security is your shared responsibility, right? So your security is going to be the shared responsibility, and we will be discussing and looking into that particular table as well, that what is the responsibility of your user and what is the responsibility of your Microsoft in this particular area. Now, this is a very brief overview of the Azure. What is Azure? What is your cloud, right? And I was just telling you that Azure, it started back in 2008 with the project name. Code project name was the Red Dog, right, at that time. And they have developed and they have come this far that they are providing the most services. And how you are going to take advantage of those services, it will be depending upon you, your knowledge, how well you know, right? And those capabilities will be assisting you to meet your responsibility through a lot of built-in feature. There will be some partner solution which you can deploy in the your Azure platform, right? So those will be third-party solution. You can go to the marketplace, just deploy those things as well. So that will be something that will be helping you out a lot. Now, when we are talking about the built-in capabilities that are in your Azure, there are going to be the six functional area. There is going to be the your operation, right? Number one, where there is going to be the application, there is going to be the storage, there is going to be the networking, your compute, and the identity. So these are your six functional area. Okay, so whenever I'm talking about the security, so you will be you have to implement the security. So what you will be doing, you will be utilizing the tools and feature provided by your Azure. So while I'm talking about this complete Azure security part, so guys, you have to keep one thing in mind, that in this particular scenario, some of the security responsibility is going to be lying with the particular Microsoft. Like, they will be providing the physical security for you. Okay, if you have deployed the PaaS services, in the PaaS services, what they will be doing, a simple example, they will be going for the all the updated and patch, right? So those kind of thing, they will be taken care by the Microsoft, and that will be depending on the type of service that you have deployed. So here, when we talk about the Azure security, we look into the our shared responsibility kind of thing. So as a user, what responsibility I have and how I can achieve them, by the tools which is provided by your Azure, the features, the services they are providing. They are telling you that, in this particular field, go ahead and deploy the RBAC, right? Role-based access control. So they have provided you feature, and it is up to you on the places where it is your responsibility to deploy those role-based access control, right? They can just give you those solutions. They can give you the tools that, I'm giving you the load balancer, I'm giving you the web application firewall. If then again, it will be up to you that do you want to use it or not, right? You can't just shift complete blame to the cloud service provider, that you are completely responsible for each and everything, right? And before mapping to this particular agenda, let's just check this out, this complete responsibility scenarios. This is our shared security responsibility scenario, right? So when I'm talking about your any on-premise center, we have the physical data center, right? We have the on-premise centers. Then if you have the physical data centers, you will be having the network, you will be having the host, operating system, networking control, application, identity and directory infrastructure. You are going to have the account and access management, client endpoint, and data governance and right management, right? So here, what you will see in your on-premises, all the responsibility lies with you, right? All these will be lying with you. Now, when I'm talking about the infrastructure as a service, there, the physical data center security will be taken care by Microsoft. Physical network will be taken care by the Microsoft. Physical host is going to be taken care by the Microsoft. Rest, operating system, networking controls, application, identity, all these rest of the thing are going to be taken care by the customer itself. right? So this is going to be the scenario in here. Then on the platform as a service, we will be seeing that again, the operating system is taken care by the Microsoft this time, and networking control, application and identity and directory infrastructure, this is lying in the shared responsibility, lying between the Microsoft and the customer as well. Okay, they will be providing you feature. Now how you are implementing them, that will be up to you. Okay, so then there is your SaaS, which is taking care of the networking control and your application control. Then the shared responsibility lies of the identity and directory infrastructure with you and the Microsoft. Then rest like the account and access management, client endpoint, and data governance and right management will be taken care by yourself, right? Okay, now I was talking about these 6 functional area where you have the capability, built-in capability for the security. So how this will be mapping to our agenda? So first thing was in our agenda were how to secure your data and your application, right? So we will be looking into the application and storage functional area, that what are the features, the tool set provided to you by the Azure in the application and storage part. Now, how to protect your network, so that will be lying with the your networking area. How to protect your platform, that will be on the compute part. Then what is your Azure security center, what is your Azure Sentinel, that would be lying with the operations part. Then we have the role of identity and access management in Azure security, that will be handling your identity part. And in the end, we will be discussing what is your AZ-900, right? So let's just start with the very first thing, which is going to be your application. Okay, now we will be starting with the web application vulnerability scanning. Very first thing. So this is becoming one of the very easiest thing to perform in the Azure, because recently Azure, they have started the web vulnerability scanning with of your the web app services with the tinfoil security. So you just need to go ahead and install the tinfoil security with your web app, and with the simple click you can go ahead and you can start having the vulnerability scanning of your web application, right? And it can give you the result, which will be very easy to understand. Okay, a report, so it will be giving you the report, which will be just very easy to understand. You can download it, you can present it anywhere, and with that it will be also giving you the how you are going to fix those vulnerability with the step by step instructions, right? So that you will be starting with the in the application part, we have the web application vulnerability scanning. Then next one is your penetration testing, right? So now Microsoft is not going to go ahead and perform a pen testing of the application for you, right? But we know that pen testing is something that is necessary to perform on your applications, right? So it's a very good thing that we can go ahead and perform and test that what are the vulnerabilities in our application. But application is hosted on the Microsoft here. So I think the guys who are from the your security background, you will be knowing that there are some rules of engagement that we have to define, right? That what will be or how we will be testing. And whenever you are hosting your web application on the third party, in those scenario we have to take permission from that particular third party that we want to go ahead and perform a pen testing. So in this scenario, what Microsoft has done, they have made clear that you are not it is not necessary for you to go ahead and just take the permission first that you want to do the your pen testing on the application that you are having, right? So they have just given you the permission to go ahead and do the pen testing. But what you need to do is you need to just keep in mind that you are following their pen testing rules. So I will let's open the my browser and show you the some of the guidelines that they have presented, okay, that they have here. Okay, and I will be showing you that what this is all about, right? So these are some of the pen testing rule of engagement, right? All they are defining what will be the scope, okay? And even they want you to go ahead and perform the pen testing. And if they will be clearly specifying that if you find any specific vulnerability regarding the Microsoft Cloud, you will be, how you will be informing them, how what will be allowed it, what activities are not going to be allowed it, all that kind of thing are mentioned in this particular pen testing ROE, rules of engagement in here, right? So Microsoft have made it, it is not necessary to go ahead and take the permission from the Microsoft itself, but it will be good if you can just, follow their rules of engagement, right? And the guys who are from the same domain, so same area, you will be completely familiar with this thing, that what is our ROE, right? We created a lot of document before starting the pen testing. There is going to be the your different kind of legal document which bind the two parties, that what rules should be followed, what rules should not be followed. So same here with the your Microsoft as well. So they have decided that if you are following their ROE, rules of engagement, there is no need to get worried, and there is, you can just go ahead and without having the prior permission from the Microsoft, you can perform the pen testing in there, right? So that is your rules of engagement for the pen testing that you have to keep in mind. Okay, next thing is we have the web application firewall as well, and it will be coming one more time in the networking part as well. So we have the web application firewall for the Azure, with the help of your front door services, or we have the your application gateway through which you can enable the web application firewall, and it protect you from very common web-based attack like SQL injection, your cross-site scripting, your session hijacking, and it comes with the protection from the threat identified by your OS top 10 common vulnerability. And Microsoft is actually enabling the same AI that they are using in this WAF. So the protection that they themselves are using, that they have incorporated in this particular solution as well. So if you are using the application gateway, you can go ahead and you can choose that you want to go with the WAF v2, which is the latest one, right? So there you will be finding that there are actually two kind of web application firewall, which is the version 1. Okay, and then you will be finding the WAF v2 there as well, which you can enable with the web application firewall, right? So they also provide you the web application firewall, which is protecting you from the very commonly known OS top 10, right? Then there is the authentication and authorization service in the apps Azure App Service. So you can enable the authentication and authorization service, which will be providing a way for your application to sign in user, so that you don't have to change any code on the app backend, right? You can simply use the authentication and authorization service in the particular app, Azure App Service. So there are different methodology, like how it will be, enabling this authentication on the Windows system, how it will be enabling it on a container as well, how it will be enabling with the app, so that you don't have to change any code on the app's backend, right? And it provide a very easy way to protect your application and work with the pre-user data, right? And it provide protection not only to the container, to the Azure function as well, okay, and to the authorization to the Azure function as well, and providing authentication on the Windows system, the containers, so that if you are deploying any other application as a container as well, it can also use this authentication service in the Azure. Next is your web server diagnostic and application diagnostic. So app service web app, it provide you the diagnostic functionality for logging information from both for your web server and as well as for your web application part as well. It provide you a feature where what you can do, you can go ahead and you can logically separate the web server diagnosed and the application diagnosed as well, and you can get all the real-time information about all your application pool, the work processes, the application domain, and the running requests, what are running, right? If there is any problem, it will be just, even if you want to check the complete request, you want to track the complete request from the request and response scenario, you can do that as well in the web server diagnostic and application diagnose, right? That is one other feature which you will be finding in your web app part. Okay, right? So those are few things in your application part. Then we will move towards the storage here. In the storage part, we have the Azure RBAC. We started with the RBAC. So whenever we are talking about the RBAC, the guys who are from the or who have worked with the identity and access management, you guys will be familiar with the role-based access control. That based on your roles, you will be provided the access of any particular resource. So if I'm saying, let's just make it a very simple. Let's just say that you are a very simple employee of any particular organization. Let's just say that you are a web developer, right? And you just, because you are a web developer in the same office, so what you can do, you can log in into the particular organization, you can go inside the building, you can go to the the floor where you are working, and let's just say that suddenly you just want to enter into the CEO room and want to sit there, right? So they are not going to allow you that because that's not your role. Okay, so what you can do, we can always restrict the access based on the your least privilege security principle, or we can say the need to know security principle. That means if I require only few access to complete my day-to-day task, I will be only provided those access. Like if I am a developer, I am going to require the access towards the web app, the database, right? Handling the database, okay, and the web app to the containers. Okay, so in those scenario, I will be only having access to those part. If I am going to have the access to complete my work, I'm going to require the access to the key vault, or I require the access towards any particular storage account. So I will be only provided those particular credentials. That's it, nothing else. Okay, so what we are going to do here is we are going to provide the role-based access control to the storage, and we can enforce those security policies. Now we can use built-in Azure roles. We can go with the your storage account roles like storage account contributor, storage account reader, storage account owner. Those kind of roles are there which we can assign to each user according to their roles, right? And you can access the storage key for the any particular storage account using the Azure Resource Manager model, and you can control it via the RBAC. We have the SAS. So if you have worked with the any particular candidate who has worked with the Azure in past or has completed at least Azure Administrator AZ-104, so you guys will be familiar with the your shared access signature. So without need to share your particular credential for the account, what you can do, you can provide these shared access signature to your employees, to any particular person, and he can access a very limit, and those SAS will be having the expiry time, right? Means if I want a shared access signature activate only for 12 hours, it will be activated for the 12 hours, and the person who is having access to this shared access signature can only use or access the storage account for the 12-hour only. And without giving them the complete permission, with the help of SAS, you can give them access of only a single object as well. Like if I have uploaded a single file in there, right, and that file is in the format of blob, and I have generated a SAS of it, right, shared access signature of it, you can just provide it, and that person, he will be going ahead and using that shared access signature to access only this file. That's it, right? He can't access anything else, he will be accessing only a single thing. So we can grant a limited permission to the object in the storage account for a specific period with a specific set of permission. Okay, apart from that, encryption in transit is also enabled in your particular storage accounts in the Azure. So there is an option where you can choose to go with the transport level encryption, such as HTTPS, when you transfer the data into or out of the Azure storage, right? And I use the terminology, you have to enable it, right? That's what I discussed in the very beginning, that Azure will be providing you all the capability, but you should be the one who will be enforcing it, right? So you can have the TLS, okay, so you can enable the transport level encryption such as the HTTPS when you want to transfer the data. if you are using the Azure file share, the Samba services, we have the wire encryption such as Samba 3.0 encryption for Azure file share. Even there is the client-side encryption to encrypt the data before it transferred into the storage, or to decrypt the data after it transferred out of the storage. Okay, with the encryption in transit, we have the encryption at rest as well, where, because this is also becoming a new norm nowadays, the data which is residing on the system, it should be encrypted so that even if someone got their hands on those data, they can't easily understand it. Okay, so here in this particular one, in the encryption address, we have the storage service encryption. Okay, we have the server side encryption as well, which if you have seen in the, if you have ever deployed a VM with the premium performances, okay, you have the premium disk there, you have noticed one thing, that what they are saying, that it is SSE, server side encryption is enabled, right? So the data which is storing the all, even your operating system disk that is storing your operating system, they are encrypted as well. So there is your Azure disk encryption as well. There is the client side encryption to provide the feature which is encryption at rest. Okay, and this service, the storage service encryption, allow you to request the storage service automatically encrypt data when writing it to the storage itself. Okay, now, in the storage itself, we have something which is a very useful feature, that is Azure Storage Analytics. So it performs logging and provide metric data for a storage account, right? And when I'm saying the metric data means there will be a complete representation of who wants to try or access your storage, right? All the detailed information. If there was any failed request as well, so you will notice something like the failed request as well, right? If someone has tried to connect to your storage account, he was having an expire SAS. Okay, for example, he's having the expire SAS and he tried to log in there. Still, it will be generating a log for that. So it will be, all the events are going to be logged in there, and those log are going to be requested on the best effort basis, right? So what kind of request, authenticated requests, are going to be logged? All the successful requests are going to be logged. All the failed requests, including the timeout, throttling, network authorization, and any other error, they are going to be logged in there, right? And as I was saying, the requests using a SAS, including failed or successful requests, they are also going to be logged. And if someone has requested for the analytics data, that also is going to be logged in the Azure Storage Log Analytics, right? Apart from that, what you can do, you can enable the CORS, which is cross origin resource sharing, right? So that is simply giving other domain the permission to access other resources, right? There could be two domain, let's just say the domain one, there is the domain two, and there is going to be the resource belonging to these two domains. Now you are enabling the feature of CORS that will be allowing the other domain to give each other the permission to access each other resource. So what is going to happen, the user agent going to send an extra header to ensure that the JavaScript code loaded from a certain domain is allowed to access resource located in the other domain, right? And then the other domain, this one, in this case the D2, that what D2 is going to do, now it is going to reply with the extra header which is going to deny the original domain access to the resource here, right? Whether it is going to allow it or not, so that is going to be enabled. If you have enabled that, if D2 has enabled the CORS, that someone, other domain can come and access its resource, so it will be checking its authentication whether or not it is authenticate, or this domain has permission to access this resource. If that is matching the rule, you can allow them to go ahead and access the resource, right? So this will be the your storage part, few features which is in the storage. Then we will be moving towards the networking. And if you guys are familiar with the Azure fundamentals, or with the Azure administration, which is 104, you will be, the few things will be quickly coming into the mind, like our network security group, NSG, right? This is the 5 tuple based firewall kind of scenario which you can Yeah, we can simply say that this is a stateful packet filtering firewall, and it just simply enable you to control access based on the 5 tuples. So it has all the thing. If you have checked this out, there is going to be the priority, right? There is going to be the priority. There is going to be your rules, the protocol that you have allowed, whether it is allowed or not, right? The port number that you are allowing for the incoming, for the source port number, destination port number. You can define the energy rule based on the IP address specifically if you want, right? So let's just small. So network security group is a very basic stateful packet filtering firewall. So the traffic that is coming, right, all the incoming traffic is going to be and one thing that I want to remind you, refresh your memories, that energy either can be associated with the network interface, or either it will be associated with the subnet. So what it will be doing, it will be filtering out data to your source. So whether I have allowed the ICMP or not, so it will be deciding that whether or not someone can send me the ICMP packet. Let's just say that I have only allowed a very specific IP address space, right? I was using a private IP address space like 10.10.0.0/16, and I am only allowing this particular address space to use the ICMP. So I'll be setting up a priority for that rule, and based on that rule, what is going to happen, it is either going to accept that connection, incoming connection or outgoing connection, or discard it, right? So there is your energy. Then we have the route control and the force tunneling. So, what you want that rather than following the system route table, you define some user defined route. And through that user defined route, you can enable the force tunneling. So what you want, so this will be the your UDR and the force tunneling. So it will force your user defined route, UDR. It is going to allow you to customize all the inbound and the outbound path for the traffic, right? So what is going to happen in this scenario is I will be defining that, let's just say that these are my backend tier and the mid tier, okay, these two things, and this is my front end web server. So it need to directly interact with the internet, but my mid tier and backend, they doesn't require to go ahead and directly interact with the internet. So there, with the help of user defined route, right, what I can do, I can just go ahead and do the force tunneling, right? I can say that if you want to just send the packets, right, you don't need to directly, or you want to access the internet. So what I'll doing on the on premises, what could be having, I could have some virtual appliances in place, right? My firewalls in place. So what I want, all my traffic should go through it only. So what I can do, I can perform the force tunneling. I can use the site to site VPN for that as well, right? And what I will be defining, that all the traffic should be routed through my on-premise server, my web app, particular virtual appliance, and then it go to the internet, right? So that would be your force tunneling, where you will be forcing your other resources to go through or follow a very specific path, right? And with the help of your route control as well, what you can do, let's just say that simply in your Azure network itself, in your Azure platform, you have created the or deployed a particular virtual appliance, right? So you want all the traffic to routed through it. So what you can do, you can define the UDR and say that all the traffic should pass through this, right? Even if you have simply deployed a simple Azure firewall. So we have the Azure firewall as well, where you can define the net base rule, you can define the application based rule as well. And what you have done, a particular subnet, if you have you in the particular virtual net, you have three different subnet, and on the subnet 2, you are having one particular firewall, and you want to route all the traffic through subnet 2, you can just go ahead and perform those kind of thing in here, right? And one more thing was here, that virtual network security appliances. So if you will search into the marketplace, what you will find out, on the marketplace, what you will do, you will find out that there are multiple third-party security appliances as well, which you can deploy in the Azure platform itself. You can go with the Forcepoint, you can go with the your Palo Alto, right? If you want to launch them, you can launch them from the marketplace itself. Okay, then there is going to be your Azure Virtual Network, which is just the representation of your on-premise network. Like in our on-premise, we have the network that is just the representation of our own network in the cloud. And there is going to be the complete logical isolation of the Azure Network Fabric that will be dedicated to our subscription, right? So whenever, if you have to launch a simple VM as well, I think the guys who are familiar with the Azure fundamentals, they will be knowing that it is going to be the part of a virtual net, which we call the VNet. And then you will be defining all the subnet. You will be defining the you can define the different private IP addresses as well. You can define the different, that what particular subnet you want to use, what name you are going to give, like the subnet 1, there is going to be the subnet 2. Okay, so all this thing you can deploy. Just, this will be a representation of your own network in the cloud. You can control the IP address blocks, DNS settings, security policies that you want to provide over there. So, creating the route table and all those kind of things. Now when you want to connect these particular virtual net to a particular remote access scenario, okay, so you have those features as well. Like if you want to connect an individual workstation to the Azure virtual network, so for that what we have the point to site VPN, which you can use, right? We have the VPNs, so there you can launch the point to site connection. Okay, if you want to just establish the on-premise network connection to the Azure virtual net, for that what we have the site to site VPN connection that you can establish. Okay, we have the WAN as well, which will be just collecting or connecting your different on-premise network to the Azure virtual network with a, dedicated WAN link as well. So for that, if you want a dedicated WAN link, so best example here is going to be the Express route. Okay, and then connect Azure virtual network to each other. For that we use the VNet peering itself. Okay, so how the two virtual net are going to communicate with each other, that would be your VNet peering. Okay, there is also your private link that you want to establish, that if you have any particular Azure PaaS service, what you want that PaaS service to go ahead and connect to a particular resource with the private link, right? You want to route the traffic not over to the internet, right, with over to the public network. You want it to travel through a particular private link. So for that we have a one particular features that is going to be the Azure private link, right? We will be defining private endpoints in there, and all the traffic will be flowing through the Microsoft backbone network. Okay, so VPN gateway, we have already talked about them, that you can establish point to point, point to site connection. Okay, we have the express route, so it has, just to make sure the availability is there, it travel, it makes sure that your data is traveling through the two, there will be two instances of your connection. One is going to be the primary, another one is going to be the secondary connection. And from your network you have to choose a partner edge. Like in India we have the partner Airtel. Okay, so if you are in US, I think AT&T will be the one of the partner. You will be choosing them, and through them what you will be having, you will be having your data will be traveling through the Azure's backbone network, which will be express route surface. So it is not going to use the internet. Okay, it is not going to use the internet. It will be making sure that your data is traveling through the Microsoft backbone network, and you can use it to connect to the any particular Azure Microsoft services like 365 CRM, or you can connect it to the particular Azure services like to a particular VM and all. Right, now there is going to be your application gateway. So I was talking about the WAF. These application gateway have the feature of the WAF as well, web application firewalls. Okay, there is going to be the traffic manager, which will be depending on your DNS. It will be deciding which is the most appropriate place to send your request, right? It will be sending, like here in the example you can see that one services is launched in region 1, one in the region 2. Traffic manager will be deciding, like if I have decided a rule in here that where if my user is requesting from the Europe, right? And I have this one in the East US, and then we are having the one in the North Europe, right? And my user is requesting from the Europe. What I will be doing, I will be forwarding the particular traffic towards the North Europe and region, right? Because it will be having the less latency. Okay, then there I have launched my application gateway, which with what it will be deciding, it will be defining that okay, based on the even, it can take decision based on the URL as well, URL path as well, that if someone is requesting for the image, let me redirect it to the one specific, backend pool. These machines are hosting all the images. If someone is requesting for the video, they move them to the another particular network. So with the help of traffic manager application gateway in the CIA tried, we try to make sure that availability is there, right? And with the help of WAF on the layer number 7, you are also just defining that how security of your web application is going to look like, right? So there is going to be the WAF as well in the application gateway, and our WAF is going to protect us from the SQL injection. It is going to just protect us from the any HTTP based attack, your server side attack, cross site scripting. It can prevent us against the crawlers, scanner, bots, right? And it can even detect the application misconfiguration in the very most common web servers like Apache, IIS server, and all those kind of different famous web servers. Okay, now application gateway was your actually the layer 7 load balancer. Okay, now we have the Azure load balancer as well, which is working on the layer 4 with the TCP and the UDP, and it is also going to make sure that in CIA tried our availability is intact there. So for that, it can load balance the traffic among the healthy instance. So if I have launched two VMs which is hosting the same website, right? So what will be happening? It will keep checking that which particular VM is healthy, and if let's just say by any chance one system it got down, so what it will be doing? It will be making sure that this site is still available for the other user, so it will be redirecting the traffic towards the particular second VM as well. Okay, so it will be just making sure it will be load balancing the traffic between your different resources. Okay, now this is going to be of the two type Azure load balancer. One is going to be the public, which will be just handling the traffic that is coming from the internet towards your resources, and another one is going to be the private, which will be your internal load balancer. So if between your the traffic between your different resources, like I am having one virtual net which is having n number of VMs, I am having the VNet 2, and these are having the m number of your users. Now internal particular load balancer will be balancing the traffic between these two instances as well. So that is going to be the Azure load balancers work. Even you can log, I was talking about the network security group. So in the network watcher we have the your NSG log as well. So what you can do, you can just log all the NSG logs as well. So who was trying to connect at what particular time, what is the which protocol it was using, which particular what he tried to do did, what he tried to access, all that you can log, right? Whether the connection was successful or not, all that is going to be handled by your Azure monitor for the network security group, right? Then let's just talk about the compute, that what are the security measures or tools that are provided to us on the compute. So that means how to defend your platform, right? So here we have the anti-malwares and the antivirus. So if you have the Azure infrastructure as a service, we can use the anti-malware software from any security vendors like the Microsoft, Symantec, Trend Micro, McAfee, Kaspersky to protect our VMs. Okay, and in the Azure cloud service, you can always use the Microsoft anti-malware, which will be providing you the protection and help you to identify the and remove your virus, spyware, and any other malicious software, right? And it will be just letting you know if someone try to attempt to install some unwanted software in your system or your service, want to corrupt them. So all that is also these antivirus and anti-malware are also provided to your Azure compute resources. Then we have the HSM, right? We have our hardware security module. So what we can do, we can use the key vault to store our secrets, our keys, okay, and our certificates as well, right? Now what you want those keys, those certificates to be secure. So there what you can choose an option to store them with the HSM, right? And this key vault, it provides the option to store you the key in hardware security module HSM, which is certified to FIPS 140-2 level 2 standard, right? So all your SQL Server encryption key for the backup and the TDEs, which is your transparent data encryption, they are also can be stored in the key vault, and all these keys will be safe with the Azure Key Vault itself. Okay, now one thing that we have is the site recovery. So what you can do, you can use the Azure Recovery Vaults. Okay, we have the Azure Recovery Vault which you can use. You can take the backup of your data, right? So in the availability, we use the like the load balancer to maintain the availability. We use the site recovery as well in case of particular failure on your particular location, right? Failure of a data center. So in those scenario, or maybe in a particular region there is a complete disaster, right, or the service outage. So in those scenario, you can use the Azure site recovery, okay, or with the help of this, what you will be doing, we have the business continuity and disaster recovery strategy. In that we have the recovery vault where we can orchestrate the replication, failover, and the recovery of the workload apps which is critical for our business, right? That is Azure site recovery. That what we have the SQL VM TDE, right? If you are using the PaaS service as the SQL VM, okay, and if you are, or either you are having the SQL in the VM, you can use the TDE and column level encryption, which is CLE, and the SQL Server encryption features as well. And now you can, as we are discussing, yeah, prior to this as well, that you can store this with the Azure Key Vault. Okay, if you have the SQL Server, you can enable the SQL Server connector, and you can store all the keys in the Azure Key Vault. Okay, and if you are running the SQL Server on on-premise machine, what you can do, you can simply follow, there will be the few steps. If you look into the documentation, you can run those steps, and you can connect your on-premise to the Key Vault as well. Then through the Key Vault you can access the your keys what are stored in the Key Vault. Okay, so you have the feature where you can store those things as well, those keys into the Key Vault with the FIPS 140-2 standard. We have the disk encryption as well. So what we have, I was talking about that we are using the server side encryption where you are using, you will be seeing that operating system disks are also being encrypted. So we are providing this for the Windows and the Linux infrastructure as a service. So in the Linux, we are using the dmcrypt, and in the Windows, we are using the BitLocker feature to go ahead and enable the disk encryption. And this solution can be integrated with the Azure Key Vault, which will be helping you to securely store the encryption keys into the Key Vault. So that is the another use of your Key Vault, what you can store in there. Okay, right? Now, if you are using the PaaS services there, so all the patches and updates will be installed by the Microsoft itself. They will be taking care of them. And in the IaaS, we have something which we call the update management, right? So you can just create the update management process. You can use the update management, and if you are finding that there are multiple updates which are pending, you can use it and update all your systems as well. Now with that, we have one feature which will be coming up next, which will be your security center. So security center is one place, a dashboard. Security center is a dashboard which will be letting you know that what kind of vulnerability you are having, what could be the possible threat to your particular platform. Okay, a single dashboard which will be helping you out. So based on that, what you can do, it will be telling you that what policy that you have deployed. Actually, you can deploy your own policy, you can use predefined policies, and if someone is not being followed, you will be getting those warnings at the security center itself, and based on that you can just take the control of any particular resource and make sure that you are just securing those particular ends as well. So you can implement the security on those particular part as well. Right, now in the IAM part, next will be the identity and access management, what we will be having. And in the identity and access management, and I think everybody will be familiar that IAM, identity, is also a very crucial part, because based on your identity we will be providing access to any specific resource to you, right? So in that scenario, having the secure identity is important. Right, now to make your identity secure, we have the multi-factor authentication which you can enable. Right, there are more than one method. You can enable the two-step verification, where you have to just enter a particular code from the Microsoft Authenticator. So if you want to use the Microsoft Authenticator, it will be providing you a very seamless experience of MFA. Right, this will be an app which will be helping you out to connect with your particular subscription, and you can use this to prove your identity there. Okay, then with that we have the password policy enforcement as well, which will be defining that what should be the password length, what should be if at the 90 days of interval if you need to change the particular password. Right, so what will be the complexity, forced periodic rotation, and account lockout after failed authentication attempt. All those features are also provided in the identity and access management. With that, we have the token based authentication, which will be enabled with the Azure Active Directory, AAD. Right, so this is going to be the Active Directory's version of Azure, and we are going to call it the AAD. So based on that, you can always enable the rollback access control, and you have the feature of the hybrid identity. Okay, so in the hybrid identity, if you are synchronizing all your resources with the your Azure Active Directory. So what you want, that the user who are registered on the AAD or either at the particular Active Directory on premise, they can use the resources. So for that you can use the hybrid identity which I was showing you. Right, and if you guys want to check out what are the prices and features for the particular Azure Active Directory, you can check out this page. So in this page, there you will be seeing that we have the features like dynamic group. Right, you will be seeing that a conditional access is enabled with the premium P2 license. Right, identity protection is, I think, also enabled with the premium P2 licenses. These are the licenses that you can purchase and enable the different kind of security based on the your identity and access management. Right, now last thing that we are going to discuss today is going to be the operation part. Right, and after this we will be discussing on AZ500. Okay, so operation parts. So on the operation part, very first thing, I think you guys must have heard about the Azure Security Center. So the Azure Security Center is going to help you to prevent, detect, and respond to a threat, and it will give the visibility into and control of all of your resources. So what it will be, it is a centralized dashboard. I can say simply that it is a simple centralized dashboard which will be giving you the secure score. Okay, you can have the secure score which will be saying that resources that you have deployed, they are 45% secure, 60%, and this score will be decided based on the policies that you have implemented. Okay, and those policies, what they will be doing, and there are going to be inbuilt policy, like if you want your resources to be PCI DSS compliant, you can choose that inbuilt policy, and it will be running checking all your resources against this standard and letting you know that what are the flaws, what could be the possible weakness in the particular of your resource, right? What you need to make sure that this is going to be your how you can actually improve this, all that kind of thing. It will provide you a complete insight. Okay, it will help you to detect a threat, that if there is any unauthorized attempt in last 24 hours, it will be giving you those warnings set there as well. Okay, it will be helping you with the all the security operations. So it will be a central dashboard which will be helping you out all the time, right? And with that, we have the Azure Monitor and Azure Monitor logs as well. So what your Azure Monitor and Monitor logs are, so all the logs, right, from your particular resource, from your even from your on-premise as well, all the logs, what I can do, I can store it on the one place, which we generally call the log analytic workspace. I collected it. After collecting them, with the help of the Azure Monitor log, what I can do, I can just go ahead and use the Kutso queries language, Kutso query language, and what we call this KQL, and create the alert monitor. Okay, the alert from the monitor will be collecting from the all the activity logs, right, from the Azure subscription or from the each resource as well. I can collect those logs, I can send them, right? And with the help of Azure Monitor, I can create the alerts based on those logs. And I can just go ahead and make sure that if anything unusual is happening, I'm getting notified. So there I will be using the Azure Monitor logs. Then we have the Azure Advisor, which will be helping us to, just consulting us, like any country has any advisor. So what it will be doing, it will be just recommending you that to improve your performance, to your security and reliability, what you should be doing, right? So, and these recommendations are going to be drawn from the Azure Security Center. So this is going to be the recommended, all the recommendation is, it will be from the Azure Security Centers, right? So you can now, based on those policies, how much policy is in force, what you need to change. So it will be telling you that, like, you have to enable the just in time access, JIT access, right, on the particular VM, or you need to just go ahead and disable the all outgoing connection, or you have to deploy the Azure firewall, or you have to enable the anti malware. So all that kind of suggestion will be given by the Azure Advisor, and these recommendations are from the security analysis on the term of the security, right? And it will be in the long term helping you to save money as well. So it will be telling you that this resource is not utilized, you can dismantle this thing and all that kind of thing as well, right? Then the I think you guys must have heard about the SIM solution of Microsoft Azure, that is your Azure Sentinel, right? So this Azure Sentinel, it helps you to collect, detect, investigate, and respond to any specific security related event, right? So in the collect process, we will be just letting you collecting the data from the different places. Like I was telling that you can collect log from your on-premise, even you can collect the different cloud service provider as well. You want to collect the logs from the AWS as well, you can collect from there as well. Okay, so all of it you will be collecting at one place. Then how you can detect some undetected thread which has been left. Let's just say, well, you were going with the normal monitor, you missed something. So how you can detect a particular thread, right? So there is going to be a lot of inbuilt queries that you can use. Again, with the in the your particular Sentinel, you can use the Kutso query language one more time. And what we are you are going to have, you can just go ahead and detect a particular threat, that this could be threat, and you can investigate all those threats with the help of AI itself. So Microsoft has enabled the your different workbook, playbook. With the help of them, what you can do on the basis of the different millions of signal related to any specific event, they have developed the AI, and based on those signals you can investigate a particular incident, right, that you have detected. Okay, and now once you have collected, you have the idea how you detect it, and you have investigated that particular threat. Now you can respond to it. So all that features are available on the particular Azure Sentinel, and this security center. Okay, we have the your Azure Sentinel. All these are very and even the monitor. These are some important features of your Azure resources which will be helping you out a lot. And these are not the only one, that the Sentinel and all these are the only thing that will be helping you out in the security part itself. There are multiple things that will be helping you out, right? So what will be helping us out in this particular Azure Sentinel, and we will be having the application insight, okay, which will be helping you out. If you have any problem, you have launched a particular web app, you are using the PaaS service, so there you will be finding the option of application insight, which will be telling you that at what time your user is connected, at what particular time your how they are using your web app. Okay, so at what time you are receiving the high traffic, low traffic. If there is any crash failure, it will be alerting you. If there is any particular flaws that could be easily detected, it will be giving you the idea about it as well. So it will be helping you. If there is any particular issue, you can just find out what actually caused it. If there is any anomalies, it can be just helping you out in that particular scenario as well, right? So all these are few features in the operational part, right? So these are your, on the operational part, we will be having Sentinel, Monitor, your different Sentinel, and different solution which is provided by Microsoft itself. Right now, because this was just an overview of all the security technology, many of you will be thinking that how you can get yourself familiar with all these things. And even I know that this was the just the overview. And if someone is very new to the Azure, I'm pretty sure that you guys will be thinking that many of the things will be just very new to you, and maybe you don't understand the concept here. So guys, let me tell you how you can actually follow up on these things. We have the different courses from the Azure itself, okay, Microsoft itself, all the official course from the Microsoft, which is started with the AZ 900, which will be a fundamental course where you will be learning that what are the basics. So I was talking about the NSG. I didn't talk, go into the depth of this, right? I simply start talking about the VM IaaS, because what my presumption was that if you guys are looking for the Azure security, you are familiar with the particular basic terminology. If you are not, you guys can go ahead and start learning the AZ 900. Then in the certification path, after this, there are two courses which you can do, which will be AZ 104 or AZ 500, right? So if you want to do both, you can do the both as well. This will be the administration part. This will be the security engineer part, the 500. Okay. So here, these are the, this is the fundamental level. This is the associate level that what we are having, right? And then you have, after this, you can go for the expert level, which is going to be the AZ 300, right? Your solution architect, right? So you can go for the 300, that is going to be the expert level, right? So if you want to learn this from the very basic, you can go with the AZ 900. Then if you want to know more about the administration, you can go with the 104. And if you want to learn more into the security features, you will be going with the 500, although a lot of things will be very common in the 104 and 500, so you can achieve both as well, right? So Azure 500 is your Azure application security, Azure security engineer, right? And this is going to have your 4 domain. So one is going to be the identity and access management, where I was talking about the PIM. I was showing you the Azure Active Directories, right? All that part is going to be covered in the manage identity and access. Then there is going to be the platform protection, which will be covering a lot of things, which will be covering the network and your compute part, both of it. Okay, so talking about the application gateway, VPN, how this secure connection is established with the network and the compute, that is going to be the part of the platform protection, right? Launching the your application gateway, launching the Azure firewall, how to create a NAT rule, how to create a jump server, a bastion server, how to create point to site to site VPN. All that is going to be part of the implementing the platform protection. Then there is going to be the secure managed security operation, and this is going to talk about your Azure Sentinel and the monitor, right? So two things we will be talking there: Sentinel and your Azure monitor. This will be discussed in the security operation part. Then there is going to be the data and application, where you will be talking about the storage, right? We talk about the storage today. We will be talking about the key vaults, how the key vault it actually work, how to store keys, secret, certificates, and all that kind of thing is the part of your fourth domain, right? So if you are interested in this particular path, you can always start with the AZ900, moving to the 104, 500, and then go to the expert level, which is AZ300, right? So this is going to be the complete path for the Azure 500 there. And today what we have discussed was the very basic overview of your Azure security, right?